Coming up on today's episode of Airborne Unlimited, Gulfstream's G650ER continues setting records. Report of an airline striking a drone proves false. 50 Piper Archers are headed for China. Hello, I'm Christopher C. Odom. It's January 13th, 2017, and this is Airborne Unlimited. Pending sanctioning from the recognizing organizations, it looks like the Gulfstream G650ER continues to set records. The G650ER took off from Ohio's John Glenn Columbus International Airport and landed at Shanghai's Pudong International Airport 14 hours and 35 minutes later, covering 6,750 nautical miles at an average cruise speed of Mach 0.85. Following that flight, the aircraft flew 6,143 nautical miles from Taipei Taoyuan International Airport to Arizona's Scottsdale Airport, cruising at Mach 0.90 the entire trip. The total flight was just 10 hours and 57 minutes. Pending approval by the U.S. National Aeronautic Association, the records will be sent to the Fédération Aéronautique Internationale in Switzerland for recognition as the world records. The G650ER and its sister ship, the G650, hold more than 60 records combined. In January 2015, the G650ER completed the furthest flight in its history. The aircraft traveled 8,010 nautical miles nonstop from Singapore to Las Vegas in just over 14 hours. Both the G650ER and the G650 have a maximum operating speed of Mach 0.925. Damage to a Linhas Aereas del Mozambique Boeing 737 on approach to Tete, the capital of Mozambique, which was first reported to be caused by an impact with a drone, now appears to have been structural failure of the radome. The dome strike story was widely reported last week. USA Today reported that the crew heard a crash and reported that the aircraft had impacted an external body, according to the airline Facebook page. The airplane landed normally and was inspected. A bird strike was ruled out because of the absence of feathers and blood in the damaged area, and many jumped to the conclusion that it must have hit a drone. However, earlier this week it's reported that Mozambique Civil Aviation Authority said that the damage to the radome of the aircraft was most probably a structural failure caused by airflow pressure. Contributing factors probably were a defective installation of the radome and inspection of the ribs. After the break, Piper's line of training aircraft are in high demand in Asia.
There's a difference between charting a steady course and pushing for the ceiling. And for nearly a century, Hartzell Propeller has been defining that difference. It's in our passion for engineering and research and our dedication to testing the limits of performance. We are built on honor. We are Hartzell Propeller.
Explore no-limits flying in the FAA-certified Sea Ray Amphibious LSA, one of the top 3 best-selling LSAs in the U.S. Progressive Aerodyne Sea Ray comes equipped with a Rotax engine and exhibits extraordinary handling on land, water, and in the air. Check it out at www.searay.com.
Welcome back. If you'd like to be a supporter of Airborne Unlimited, send an email to Jim at aero-news.net. China Air Shuttle, based in Beijing, with branches in different provinces of China, will begin to take delivery of 50 Piper Archers in the middle of 2017. China Air Shuttle also intends to order and stock more trainers to meet the fast-growing flight training market in China. The fleet of aircraft will be manufactured and certificated at Piper Aircraft's factory in Vero Beach, Florida, and then shipped to China, where they will be reassembled by China Air Shuttle's affiliate company in Rizhao, Shandong Province. As the approved Piper dealer for Archer airplanes in China, China Air Shuttle will then distribute those aircraft to some of the major flight schools and general aviation companies of the region. Jeremy Prost, Piper's Asia sales manager, said, "Piper aircraft trainers have been widely used in China for more than a decade, with over 45 Piper Seminoles sold to Chinese flight training institutions. We are pleased that Archer will now also be used in flight training academies throughout China." It's Friday, which means it's time for ANN CEO and Editor-in-Chief Jim Campbell to check in with his weekly barnstorming commentary. Jim and our head video guy, Nathan Cremasino, headed out west for CES and AMA Expo West. Jim tells us that the future of the consumer drone industry is about as strong as can possibly be. Jim also had time to sit down and talk with members of the Santa Monica Pro Airport community. Here's this week's barnstorming.
Thanks, Chris, and hi, folks. Excuse the voice, it's a little broken up. I've been working off a cold all last week. I can be the only guy who can fly from Florida to California to catch a bad head cold. You missed an amazing week. We were at the Consumer Electronics Show for several days, both Nathan Cremasino and I, and to make an exceedingly long story short, the future of the consumer drone industry, which may ultimately be yet another way to lead people into aviation, is about as strong as it could possibly be. More important, there is technology in the works. There's folks working in a variety of areas that will and can empower the rest of aviation to better aircraft, better navigation profiles, better stability and control profiles for guidance and stability control systems, you name it. Power plants, it was extraordinary. I can't possibly tell you enough. And yeah, it was also fun. Everything from some of the coolest little Star Wars drones that were exquisitely designed to the latest and greatest from DJI, whose Mavic just looks awesome. Unique, which has a tiny little personal drone called the Breeze 4K with FPV for under $500. And so much more. The Hovercam, Drone Volt, you name it. There were Power Vision, the Egg. Extraordinary stuff, and we had a ball. But we went right from there to the Academy of Model Aeronautics Expo, where I not only got to go to the event, but spoke briefly to the Executive Council Friday morning, whose interest in what's going on out there is beyond belief, whose professionalism is beyond doubt. And I'm so looking forward to them because week after next, AMA Drone Report should debut. Bree Cross will be taking care of that chore for us. And it is our first attempt to start broadening and building upon what we've tried to do with Airborne Unlimited. We're tremendously excited. But all that aside, Monday, January 9th, which happened to be my 60th birthday, yeah, I lived to 60, Mom, I spent time with members of the Santa Monica Airport Association, with the folks at American Flyers, with the phenomenally great folks at Atlantic Aviation, pilot outfitters, and people from all over the business, as well as having a great lunch at the Spitfire Grill. And there is an empowerment and a determination among the pro-airport community, which does represent the majority of the Santa Monica community, because the folks that are anti-airport are, one, a small minority, two, the rest of the community is either pro or frankly doesn't care, or doesn't know what all the fuss is about, and would you please get my city services to me on time. Santa Monica is a threshold event. This is where aviation can turn its fortunes. We need a win. And even if we don't get a win, we need a well-fought battle. There are extraordinary people, patriots all, trying to save that airport, not just for themselves, but because they know what it does to the rest of aviation. You, I, everybody needs to be emboldened, be empowered, and be ready to go out and fight this battle. Yeah, we've got plans out there. We're in the process of upgrading them. We're going to need your help. We're going to need donations. We're going to need a whole lot of background and data and effort and volunteers. And we'll be telling you a whole lot more about that here shortly, because even as we go forward, it changes by the day, because more important in our eyes than ever before is the fact that this is a threshold battle, a pivot point in GA's war for itself, its right to survive, its right to make progress, its right to have a future. We're going to do this, folks. We hope you'll be a part of it. For the Aero-News Network, Airborne, and Aero-TV, I'm Jim Campbell. And to the folks at Santa Monica who are fighting the good fight, patriots all, you have my respect.
After these messages, the FAA issues an SAIB for 737 skin panels.
Redbird Flight Simulations is dedicated to revolutionizing flight training by designing, manufacturing, and delivering affordable and innovative flight training technologies. Each Redbird device is designed to enhance the training experience for pilots of all levels, from student to ATP. Redbird is quickly becoming the industry standard for flight training. Since Redbird introduced its revolutionary FMX in 2007, colleges, universities, and flight training operations around the world have integrated Redbird products into their curriculum. It's time to discover what Redbird can do for you. Join the migration.
Based on the popular Sling 2 LSA, the Sling 4 was designed to be the most practical and desirable lightweight four-place experimental aircraft on the market. Find out more about this 115 horsepower turbocharged airplane at airplanefactory.com.
With so much news coming out of the aviation industry, Laura Hudson is summarizing a few of those other great stories in a brief segment we call Around the Patch.
Thanks, Chris. The FAA has released a special airworthiness information bulletin after reports of cracking on skin panels of certain Boeing Model 737 aircraft. To provide human factors improvements when inspecting large areas of the fuselage skin panels, Boeing published a new inspection procedure. The National Transportation Safety Board issued an urgent safety recommendation to the FAA Monday concerning unsafe wiring on Piper PA-31T series aircraft. The issue of electrical arcing in contact with a hydraulic line is thought to have caused a fatal accident. National Business Aviation Association President and CEO Ed Boland this week saluted the late John A. Pope. Pope, who passed away on January 8th, was a key figure in the development of the NBAA and the business aviation industry. Elected business and community leaders from across Washington state have announced the formation of a new coalition named Aerospace Works for Washington. The organization's key objective is to ensure aerospace continues to be a cornerstone of Washington state's economy. Former U.S. Senator Alphonse D'Amato was removed from a JetBlue flight in Florida earlier this week after encouraging other passengers to protest an hours-long delay on the tarmac. It seems the senator objected to passengers not responding to crew member directions. Well, that's it for today's trip around the patch. Back to Chris for the rest of the news.
Thanks, Laura. The fourth quarter financial report from Parrot, makers of the Bebop drone, was very grim. The company reported that at the end of the fourth quarter of 2016, Parrot is reporting revenues of around $90 million, coming in below its target of around $105.5 million. Drones generated revenues of around $63.3 million, of which approximately $11.6 million was for commercial drones, with the remaining difference coming from the sale of consumer drones. The company says the commercial performance for consumer drones in the fourth quarter was achieved based on margins that would be insufficient to deliver profitable growth for this business over the medium and long term. Parrot is therefore creating a plan that could reduce its workforce by around 290 people out of a total of 840 staff currently working in the group's drone activities. These reductions would concern employees both in France and internationally. That's a workforce reduction of approximately 35%. In France, this proposal would result in around 150 positions being made redundant. Well, that's our program for today. Remember that Airborne Unlimited is streamed daily, Monday through Friday, with additional breaking news bulletins for important stories that fall outside of our normal deadlines. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe, and do check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Get comprehensive, real-time, 24/7 coverage, the latest aviation and aerospace stories anytime at aero-news.net. Keep flying. We'll see you Monday.